Herzlich willkommen to the second episode of German Baking with Frau. What we're doing is we are making a German chocolate cake from scratch, Deutscher Schokoladenkuchen. I mean, I'm saying German chocolate cake, but the reality is that chocolate cake is a very internationally made goodie. So, well, can't take the full claim for it, but yeah, we are making from scratch. So that next time when you're at the store, you don't have to buy that pre-made mix. You can just do it yourself because it's actually very simple. And what I like about this recipe and why I chose it is because when I went to the supermarket the other day, I actually ran into I wouldn't say problem, but there was actually no flour there. So there's so many other options that we could do and what we could bake with. And this recipe, the reason why I want to do it, I actually did have some leftover flour that I will be using, but I will also tell you about a few options that you could use instead of flour. And this recipe allows us to just kind of exchange ingredients to our liking. You can also make the recipe more vegan. You could make it gluten-free. So this is like the really nice one. So I'm kind of giving you the base, like the standard easy recipe, and then you can use the ingredients that you want, and especially when it comes to the decorations, there's a lot of room. So what do we need for this very easy recipe? We need sugar. Just have our sugar here. We usually the standard recipe calls for flour, but if you don't have all-purpose flour, you could also use quinoa flour. Is an idea. In this case, some people say that you should kind of substitute half of the flour with quinoa flour. Some people substitute all the flour with quinoa flour. In the end, it also depends on your taste. Some people find quinoa flour bitter. Some people don't find any different taste at all. So you can experiment, and there's obviously gluten-free flour that you could use as well. Then cocoa powder. Okay. Then we need baking powder. We need a little bit of salt. Then we need eggs, 2 eggs. But again, if you like your cake very moist, then you can also use 3 eggs. Or I've even used 4 eggs before, but 2 eggs is the standard. If you wanted to go more vegan, sometimes I succeed in replacing the eggs with a lot of banana. I've used up to 6 bananas. Sometimes that creates that moisture, but if you are living a vegan lifestyle, you probably know it actually even better than I do. But the bananas are an amazing replacement sometimes, and some people absolutely love the taste. So we could even use the eggs, and in addition also use bananas, and then actually make a banana chocolate cake. So that's also an idea. Milk, you need milk, and again you can use normal milk, 2%, 3.5% milk. Today I want to use coconut milk actually. I really like the taste of a little bit of coconut flavor. I've done it with almond milk before. So again, there are options that you can replace the milk with and make it more towards your taste, towards your liking or your actual lifestyle. Then sunflower oil. The recipe actually calls for sunflower oil instead of butter. So that's because this is a cake that's supposed to be very moist versus like dry and kind of falling apart. So we're using sunflower oil, or I actually don't have sunflower oil, so I'm just using canola oil. I've even made it with olive oil before, which is not really, used for baking, but I didn't have any other oil and it actually turned out well. So. But again, ideally use sunflower oil or canola oil, and then you need vanilla flavor, and you need boiling water, which I will make later. So what we do right now is really simple. We take all the dry ingredients and mix them together in a bowl. You need a bowl, you need a spoon or a whisk, and you need measuring cups. And you can use a hand mixer if you want to, but the other reason why I wanted to show you this recipe is because you don't even need a hand mixer if you don't have one. Imagine, for example, you want to make this recipe like very quiet. You want to make it as a surprise for your parents, and your parents are in a different room or something, or your siblings. Then you could make it in a quiet way. Okay, so let's mix everything together. And again, the thing that I love about baking is it kind of forces me to steer away from my inner German, because it's not always about like taking the exact measurements. I said that before in the other video. Like if you don't have a measuring cup, not the end of the world. Just use a normal cup as long as you are there. May the force be with you. As long as you use some type of standard measurement. So if this is a full cup that you use and then it calls for half a cup, well, use the same cup again and use half a cup. So pretty easy. I'm actually going to use this cup. I love it. So yeah, let's start with 2 cups, 2 Tassen Zucker, 2 cups of sugar. Oh, there's our giant. I seem to have, happened in my last video too, I seem to have these giant things of sugar falling out. There, break this up a little bit. Yeah, kept the sugar too long. There are 2 cups. Oh, there's another big lump. What's up with the lumps? There, can't get a break of the lump. So we need 2 cups of sugar, and the only reason why I'm just kind of going in there with my hands right now is because I just have these giant lumps of sugar in there that I just need to break up a little bit. Usually if you keep your sugar well, then that doesn't happen. Then we have 1 cup and 3/4 of flour. So I'm actually, room for experiment. There, I'm just grabbing my scissors. I will just kind of spontaneously use 3/4. I'm going to use 3/4 of a cup of quinoa flour. Again, usually it calls for 1 cup and 3/4 of a cup of regular flour. I'm just using 3/4 of a cup of quinoa flour here, and just a cup of regular flour that you can replace with whatever flour you prefer. It's coconut flour too. So many different options. Quite amazing when you go into the organic food section of the supermarket, then you are presented with these great options. Cocoa. This is what makes it really yummy, chocolatey. Sometimes, I mean, some people even put kind of liquid chocolate in their cakes. I always recommend liquid chocolate if you can somehow get your hands on liquid chocolate. There. So but the cocoa powder is absolutely amazing. Gives the cake the chocolatey color and the chocolatey taste. So we'll do 3/4 of a cup here. Baking is always easy. There. And now we come to teaspoons. Again, I have no idea where my teaspoons are. The kids probably hid them somewhere in their own little play kitchen. I don't know. So we are taking 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Again, like use a normal teaspoon or use like a measuring teaspoon or use like this type of teaspoon. As long as it's somehow consistent. There, 1.5 teaspoons. There. This is a little bit there, a little bit more accurate. And then we use 1 teaspoon of salt. In this cake we don't have salted butter, so we just use 1 teaspoon. I use a little bit less of salt. You can skip that step if you don't want the salt in there at all. And what we do now, I'm just taking my spoon and I just kind of roughly mix the dry ingredients, and now we come to the wet ingredients. So there, dry ingredients mixed. Success. Now we're gonna take our eggs, 2 eggs. Make sure that there's no egg skin in it. There, eggshells, egg skin. I called it egg skin. Why did I call it egg skin? It's called eggshells. Make sure there's no shells in it. Sometimes I think in German and then I speak English and the other way around. It's yeah, the beauty of speaking a couple languages, I guess. We will take 1 cup of milk. In this case, again, I said I wanted to use coconut milk. So we are using 1 cup of yummy coconut milk. Then half a cup of sunflower oil, or in this case canola oil. Da-da-da. There goes in. And 2 tablespoons, you can use this spoon, 2 tablespoons of vanilla flavor. So I have the vanilla extract here. So if you have pure vanilla flavor, then 1 tablespoon is probably enough. Depending how much you like the vanilla taste. You can also substitute it, of course. A lot of German baking sometimes has rum flavor in it, so you can also buy rum flavor, or I don't know, there may be gingerbread flavor, all kinds of different flavors. Vanilla is the standard that's being used for this recipe, but again, you can experiment and just add whatever flavor you want to. And yeah, so now comes a step that is can usually be done with a hand mixer if you have one. But again, one of the things, like I said before, about this recipe that I like is that you can actually succeed in making this cake without a hand mixer. So you just have to, and again, you know, we can combine baking with sports. So if I have to mix, if I have to put a little bit more energy in my mixing process here, then that's my fitness fix for the day, maybe. So, okay, so what you will do, basically, you can use a spoon and kind of mix it roughly. So this is already delicious. It's I could just eat that off the spoon, but it's not greatly mixed yet. Or you can use a whisk. It's up to you. I always kind of start mixing with a normal spoon in the beginning, and you can continue that, but a whisk is a little bit more powerful. And then you just mix this little mass here for about 2 or 3 minutes. Again, if you have a hand mixer, then you can mix this for about 2 minutes with the hand mixer on the highest setting, and it's done. Okay, so now I will just kind of mix with my hand. So mixing is done. I'm a little bit red in the face because it was actually a little bit, yeah, it was pretty exhausting. One step that I actually forgot to tell you in the beginning is just switch your oven on, and I'm just double checking the Fahrenheit because I used to always work with Celsius. Switch on your oven to 340 to 350 Fahrenheit. If you feel that your oven always runs on the hotter side, then switch it to 340 so it doesn't burn. But my oven is pretty good with 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so this is something that you can actually do in the very beginning before you actually start this cake. I should have said that, because then you don't have to wait until the oven is preheated, but that's okay. In this case, I have to tell you some other things anyway. So now I'm actually firing up my kettle, because we need hot water. We need boiling water. And this may be something really weird. That sounds a little bit awkward. Not awkward, weird. Yeah. But the boiling water that we will add to this chocolate mix will actually make the dough really moist in the end and really help. So while the water is boiling, I'm just presenting you with a few options as to what you can use to put your dough in. So ideally, I prefer the little baking forms, like cookie sheets, I guess. No, not cookie sheets. Cake forms. Is that what you call it? I don't know what you call it. Anyways, I prefer these ones that have a hole in the middle, because I find that the cake can bake very well and evenly around. And I like to decorate them. Like, I find they are easily decorated. Other people may prefer like a whole cake mold. That's the word, is it? A cake mold. Other people may prefer to have it like as a whole cake without a hole in the middle. A whole cake without the hole. Oh yeah, you see my vocabulary is suffering from this isolation. Some people, I've also made an actual ball-shaped cake. So you take 2 of these halves They're really awesome. I ordered them off of Amazon. You make 2 halves, and when they are baked in the end, you make a little ball. And I've actually made the Star Wars Death Star with it before. But you can also make a basketball or a soccer ball, or whatever is round. So today I'm just going to choose this one because I like it much. This is one of these silicone-shaped cake molds that kind of squeeze the cake out nicely too, so it doesn't break. And what I like to do is I just take a little bit of butter, and I'm actually just kind of using my fingers here. If you don't like butter, if you are doing vegan, then you can also just take a little bit of canola oil. I mean, this cake is essentially this little mold is essentially made for to try to prevent sticking, but I always want to be on the safe side, so I take some butter or oil and I just kind of smear it on the inside everywhere, so our cake doesn't stick. Done. Now I have butter on my hands. Get the butter off. And this is perfect timing because now my hot water is done. My water is boiling. So I take my cup again, and I will take half a cup. No more than half a cup of this boiling water. Okay, I add it to my dough. So, and then I just very, very gently, not too much, mix it again, just so that the water is not on top of the dough anymore. Very gently mix it under. Be very careful, okay, because it's hot water. I don't want you to burn yourselves. Under, you fold the water under there, and now it's so if I lift this up, you see how liquidy the dough actually is. But again, that's supposed to make that cake very moist in the end. So of course now I fill it all in our little there. Take a little spatula and just kind of make sure you don't waste anything. Get it all there. You could even make muffins. Like I've actually even used the same dough recipe for muffins there. Of course, you can always leave a little bit in the bowl and then eat the dough. It's absolutely delicious. And now, wash my hands again. And now the cake goes into the oven for actually a pretty long time, because we need the dough to become solid, but we still want the dough moist. So it goes into your oven for anything between 40 and 50 minutes. Could even be an hour. I mean, kind of see where you are after 40 minutes. I would test how it. So I'll see you again once the cake's ready. Let's put it in. Be very careful when you put it in and you have one of these silicone molds, because it happened to me before that I dumped the whole dough into my oven, and then that was not fun to clean. Okay, good luck. See you soon. Oh, the cake has now been in the oven for 40 minutes, and I will test it and see if I can take it out, if it's all done, or if I have to leave it in a little bit more. And I'm actually going to do this. I have this little silver stick here that is actually called a cake tester, but again, you can also just use a toothpick. Fine. Okay, let's take a look at my oven. There's the cake. You can definitely see that it rose. Just kind of stick it in and take it out, and I can see that there's still a little bit of wet dough on my cake tester, so I will leave it in for definitely 5 more minutes, and then we will check again. I'm back, and I said I would leave the cake in the oven for 5 more minutes. In fact, I got distracted and actually left it in the oven for 10 more minutes, so you just have to be a little bit careful that you watch your timing, but it was actually perfect, because when I do my little needle test right now and I stick it in, it comes out completely clean. So my cake is ready to be taken out of the oven. Here it is. There. Took the cake out of the oven. For me, the cake was in for anything between 50 minutes and 55 minutes. So yeah, and it's actually perfect now. I will let it cool down. I don't know, maybe for about half an hour or so. And sometimes you can even just let it cool down for 20 minutes and then flip it over. And yeah, but I want to be on the safe side so that the cake doesn't break when I flip it over. Okay, so now the cake should have cooled down a little bit. I was actually doing some work outside, so I actually took the cake outside, and it's sunny today, but actually really windy, so the cake was able to cool down fairly quickly. Now I put a little cookie rack, and I will take my cake and I will turn it upside down and hope for the best. There, that came out really easy. Oh yeah, it's perfect. I love that. So that came out really easy. That's why I like these silicone molds. There, you see my cake? There. And now you can basically do, and this is the little challenge that I was hoping that I could do. I received some really amazing pictures from strawberry rolls, and a lot of you did like little extra things to the strawberry roll. For example, there was one picture where the strawberry roll was all covered in whipped cream and extra berries, and it was really deliciously looking. Yeah, so now it comes to the decoration, and you can do basically whatever you want to. You can put icing on it, you can leave it like this, you can put chocolate on top of it. A very traditional German way for some cakes is obviously to put melted chocolate on top of it, but I prefer a glaze that we make out of icing sugar, a little bit of water and fresh lemon actually. It's similar to icing, but a little bit less. I will actually take the lemon juice from a freshly squeezed lemon that I'm squeezing right here. And then you take some icing sugar and you put it in there. You put it in that lemon juice. Depending on the thickness of your glaze, you can also add a little bit of water or not. Like, it really depends how thick you want your glaze. There, now you can see it's getting thicker. And this tastes just really, really fresh. Get my little brush. And can you still see me? Yes. And now I take my little brush and I brush the glaze all over my cake. The glaze is very sticky, yeah, because it's made out of icing sugar. This is a little surprise for you guys. Yeah. Look at it, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it even looks like a dinosaur cake.
A dinosaur cake?
Yeah.
Why does it look like a dinosaur cake?
Because it looks like a pancake dinosaur cake.
Okay, all right. And the cool thing about this glaze is that it's because it's so sticky, you can keep going with your decorations. What I like to do, especially when the kids
Mommy, can we
eat
put
the
some
cake,
decorations on too?
you can, and you know what? I want you to help me. We're going to put some Smarties on that, okay? So now Claire can decorate the cake and put Smarties on it. This is just one of the ways that you can decorate it. You can also put sprinkles over it, chocolate chips, peanuts, chocolate, no, I already said chocolate flakes. Coconut flakes, that's what I mean. Coconut flakes is really tasty too. So yeah.
Oh, that smells yummy.
In this case, does it smell good?
Oh, yeah.
You want to put Smarties? So
I'm gonna do this.
you just put them all over the cake, right? So while it's nice and sticky. Yeah, look, just like that. You stick them right on there. There, and you look into the camera and you wave while you do that.
Hi.
There, Smartie cake. Yeah.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Yeah. Maybe Timo can help too, Claire. Want to make some room for Timo? Yeah. Fantastic. There, we will make some room for little Timo. Come here. You go a little bit to the side, pleasure. To the side, thank you. Awesome. So Timo, I don't know, Timo's just eating the Smarties. He's actually not decorating. There. So, and this is the German chocolate cake.
Okay.
There. And again, like I said before, you can decorate it with whatever you want to, and I'm looking forward to seeing some pictures of your versions of this very easy make chocolate cake.
He's gonna be so happy.
Yeah, and then he will be so happy because it's her birthday today and we're going to drop the cake off. Of course, we will eat some too, okay? There.
Yeah.
Now,
Are you coming too?
let's show, yes, of course I'm coming to. Let's show the students how beautifully you decorate that cake.
Yeah.
There, okay? There, okay, and then we say Guten Appetit, right? And we say,
Timothy's eating them.
and we say cheese. Cheese.
No. Ah.
Enjoy your cake. Hope you like it. And send pictures. Auf Wiedersehen.